Hello and welcome, my name is Christopher the Rupel, and normally I talk about Goosebumps. Not today. No, not today. I have another thing that I happen to love quite a bit. It's a role-playing game called Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Yeah, I'm a loser. I love the Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It's awesome. But more importantly, I love the Ancestry system. I like the concept of having a heritage and choosing feats and not just being lumped into a bunch of stuff that you may or may not even end up using throughout a whole game of playing a tabletop RPG. I like the system. I think it's cool. But more importantly, I love the Goblin. Why do I love the Goblins? Well, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm kind of goblin-y myself. No. It's more the sense that I like that this ancestry from the original game kind of got this boost. You know, the Goblin for Paizo, the creators of Pathfinder, was their mascot for like the longest time. And I believe it still is their mascot? Yes, no? Okay, that's the answer. Thanks. And they decided, hey, F it. We're going to make it a core ancestry inside the Core Rulebook, starting off immediately. And I won't lie, the first character I made personally, not exactly, I mean, I've never gotten to play this character, even as a DM myself. I haven't even used them for anything else, although technically I could have used them a couple sessions back, but decided to go with the Detective Corn Leshy. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Damn it. Goblin. But no, the first character I actually made was a Detective Goblin who was an alchemist. Because, you know, hey, first new ancestry, first new class, well, core class, alchemist did exist, and the Goblin did exist in the previous editions, but they were never core. I gotta go core, because I'm hardcore rulebook loving. Even though I have all the other books, I don't know. But no, the first character I made, I believe his name was like Schneebly the Burning Detective because he was a bomber and liked to set things on fire. And obviously he chose a lot of fire, 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 burning, death, chaos, burn, goblin mode activated. But you know what, in this little show, I don't know what it's going to be called. Rupel's RPG Corner, I don't know. That's a cool name, I guess. I'm going to kind of go over all the heritages in the core rulebook and the feats, ancestry feats in the core rulebook. I don't want to go over the character guide. I don't want to go over the advanced player's guide ones because it's going to take like 2 hours if I go through every single book of Goblin material. Let's stick with the core rulebook. Let's stick with the basics. You know, this book, you can purchase the handheld copy. Clearly not this one. I don't think this is the one I got on my birthday when Pathfinder 2nd Edition came out. Came out very close to my birthday. Thank you, Sam, for that birthday present. Why did I make the face? It's just something you do. It's just something you end up doing eventually. But no, what was I going over? I don't even remember what I was talking about now because I have a text message. Okay, sorry. I lost my train of thought. True Goblin mode activated. But no, I'm going to rate all the heritages, all the feats, ancestry feats of the Goblin in a 1 to 3 kind of format. A 1 is going to be rated with color red. Yeah, I'm rating them out of colors because I feel like that's the most Goblin thing to do is to choose colors, and it's also very basic. Red means this heritage or ancestry feat, I'm just going to shorten it down to feat, is good for very situational things. Like, it's a very situational option. It's not going to be one you're going to be like, I'm choosing this one first and foremost because this works for every single class and I can have that wide option. No, this is the one that is like, I don't want to give any examples away so far, but this is the kind of one that it's not going to be useful for everybody. Like, it's going to be useful for a very particular amount of people. And not going to be best for everyone, but I'm not saying it's bad necessarily, because some red ones are awesome, but they're not going to be awesome for everyone, because some of them I just think are hilariously awesome, and they're actually going to be in the character guide, because there's a specific feat that I can't wait to talk about in another video, possibly, because it is freaking hilarious. Then you're gonna have yellow, which is gonna be like your number 2. Yellow, it's all right. It's like, hey, yield here. This is gonna be for like specific class groups more than anything. Like, it's gonna be good for marshals, or it's gonna be good for spellcasters, or it's gonna be very, very particular. Because maybe it might even be close to what a green could be, but it's just missing something. It might just need that one thing to make it like go above and beyond. Kind of like any good kind of thing. Whoop. But yeah, the yellow is gonna be, it's not gonna be necessarily bad. It's gonna be more, it's obviously gonna be more useful than a red one. But it's middle ground. It's very middle of the road. Maybe I can go for this. I don't know. It's vanilla. It's not gonna make you angry if you get it. It's vanilla ice cream. Who doesn't like a nice scoop of vanilla? Yeah, sure, you might want a rocky road or a dulce de leche, but all they got is vanilla, and you know what? It's a sweet treat, and you've earned it. Take that sweet treat. Love that sweet treat. Yes. And then you're gonna have green. Green is good for everyone. Green. Go green. Just like a goblin, green is good. Green means to help. It's a nice healthy goblin. Green. Goblin green healthy. It's going to be usable by any class. It's going to be used by any background. Anyone can use this one, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best option though. I'll get into that soon. It's going to come pretty fast, but I will give my explanation of why a green doesn't always mean perfect. So let us go in, because here's the thing with Pathfinder and all tabletop RPGs. It's your choice for your character. You get to make them how you feel like it. These are my own... Cliff Bar got caught in my throat. I had that like 3 minutes ago. Why? But here's the thing. I'm not bashing any feats or ancestry heritages. I'm not here to do that. I'm not doing that. These are all options that can be chosen by everyone and anyone. No one's gonna laugh you off the stage for choosing Unbreakable or anything like that. No. They're just there to be fun, and these options are here to make for a fun, diverse character. And we're not gonna lie here and say, hey, some of these are better than others, but no one's gonna insult you for your options. I'm not gonna insult you for your options. But here we go. We're just gonna get into it. I'm not gonna get much. Grab your core rulebooks, turn to page. Damn it, I turned to humans. Good option. They made humans really cool in this. I'm not gonna get into stats here, but I want to talk about one little detail on the stats. The ability boost in the ability flaw area, as seen here. Boop. Thank you. You have your boost of Dex, Charisma, and a freebie. This is pretty basic, meaning that, you know, goblins are going to be really good at... They are very diverse in their options. You can play a martial, either Dex-based or Strength-based goblin, like starting off immediately. Unlike all the rest of the small characters in the core rulebook, you don't have an ability flaw to something that might not make you a good martial class. You don't have that negative to con or strength like a lot of other small classes do. Your flaw is actually in wisdom, which kind of lowers your usefulness for choosing, you know, a cleric or a druid, which kind of sucks because, hey, druids are always fun. But you know what? Druids also use charisma. Use that charisma boost. Get your healing or harm on. I mean, use your divine font. That's what you're going to be using for your charisma boost anyways. Bingo. That's an awesome cleric choice. So it doesn't take away from that. Yes, you're only going to be kind of maxed out at a 14 if you don't take a voluntary flaw, but it's not that bad of an option. Same thing with druids. Druids aren't necessarily all just spellcasters. I mean, unless you're choosing this, like, I think the storm one or one of the elemental ones, you're not focusing on just spellcasting. You know, I mean, hell, if you choose the wild one, you're going in there changing your features and making yourself more wild and crazy and going in for attacks and going full goblin mode, attack mode. So no option's really that bad for a goblin. Unless you're going straight up spellcaster for a cleric or straight up spellcaster druid, you're not going to have too many problems. That's cool. Also, I like the idea that the goblins get a bonus to charisma because they're jovial people. They're happy. They always have a song or a joke ready to go. And they're always quick to make friends, even if they are they're not easy to be trusting of what they refer to as the long shakes, the name they call people who are tall. I like that. I like this idea. And when you gain the trust of them, they'll be your best friend forever. I like the idea of that being their reasoning behind getting a boost to charisma. It's not that they're particularly adorable or handsome. It's charisma based in the acting out sense, like a bard. Not all bards need to be sexy. A bard can be charismatic in the sense that they know how to perform. That's the main part of a bard. But we're not getting into bards here. We can talk about that another time. Another time. But no, that's the only thing I want to talk about with any kind of skill, any of the stat kind of things. I think it's just a very interesting choice that, and it even says in the book here that, where is it? Give me a second.
6.5 hours later.
Play and creativity matter more to goblins than productivity or study, and their encampments erupt with songs and laughter. That best describes that bonus to charisma and that negative to wisdom. They may not like to study, but they love a good time. The creativity sense. Hell, that could even be great for the intelligence boost. If you decide to go, hey, let's give an intelligence boost. There you go. You're good to go. Okay, going forward, now we're going to talk about the heritages. I'm going to have the descriptors right here, but I'm still going to read them off the book because, hey, why not? That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm here for. So, charred hide gremlin, not charred. Not charred and grilled to perfection. Burger King. No thanks. I'd rather have Whataburger or something else. Your ancestors... Ooh, that was a way of saying that. Your ancestors have always had a connection to fire and a thicker skin, which allows you to resist burning. You gain fire resistance equal to half your level, minimum of 1. You can also recover from being on fire more easily. Your flat check to remove persistent fire damage is a DC 10 instead of a DC 15, which is reduced to DC 5 if another creature uses a particularly appropriate action to help, aka being cool about fire safety. Get that DC 5. Be cool about fire safety. Yeah. This one is going to be pretty obvious for me. This is going to be a green. Just right up front, it is a green one for many reasons. One, fire resistance is always good to have. A lot of spells are fire-based. A lot of creatures use fire-based stuff. I'll be very surprised if your DM doesn't use something that breathes fire, or maybe even has fireball or fire burst or some. I don't know all the fire spells. Fire sphere, is flame sphere still a spell? Yeah, no. Answer here. Thank you. Oh god, that spell broke my campaign back when we played Pathfinder 1, first edition. Love it still though. But no, fire's just one of those things that's commonly used. It's just good. Fire's good. Fire's good. But and getting that the persistent fire damage DC lowered to a 10 for a 50-50 chance of getting rid of the persistent fire damage, that makes things a little easier for you. Instead of having a 1 in 4 chance, you now have a 50-50. Just roll that bonus. I mean, it's just a base flat. Yeah, it's just a flat check, so you only get to roll it once, and you don't get any bonuses. But getting it lowered makes it easier. Green. This is useful for everyone. When are you not going to catch on fire as a barbarian goblin? When are you not going to catch on fire if you mess up on a spell as a sorcerer or a wizard? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Iron Gut Goblin. You can subsist on food that most folks would consider spoiled. You can keep yourself fed with poor meals in a settlement as long as garbage is readily available, without using the subsist downtime activity. You can eat and drink things when you are sickened. Huh, that's an interesting thing to add. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to saving throws against afflictions, against gaining the sickened condition, and to remove the sickened condition. When you roll a success on a fortitude save affected by this bonus, you get a critical success instead. All these benefits apply only when the affliction or condition resulted from something you ingested. This one is very circumstantial. If it gave a bonus to getting rid of sickened for like a spell, this would be like an automatic, almost maybe a green-yellow, because that would be helpful. Getting rid of sickened would make a lot of spells that are getting sent your way, feasibly easier to pass that check, that +2 bonus. But this is only for poisons and rotten food and stuff like that. I'm not seeing a necessarily good reason to choose this one. And also to subsist, I don't know, that's never really been one of those things. I do like the idea that you can eat and drink things when you are sickened. I think it's a funny bit of flavor text. It's true that you can't do that normally, but is it really gonna affect your character not to have some chicken noodle and some crackers now? I guess, I don't know. I think it's a little too circumstantial. I think this one's gonna be more towards the red section. It's not exactly a great option for everyone, but it could be usable for some. Like, maybe if you know for a fact your DM is going to make you subsist off of settlements and stuff like that, and force you to, actually have to roll for that stuff instead of going to the local Denny's. Like, I have my go to the Denny's! Get yourself a nice cup of joe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bad DM for not making them subsist off of stuff, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I am. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm sticking to red. I think it's too circumstantial, and that bonus to the sickened condition only being relevant to you ingesting something is not going to give it enough. It's not giving it enough for me. It's just not. I think if it helps you beat sickened in a spell sense, it could maybe be pushed to a yellow. I just don't know what it could get to make it a green, though. It's too circumstantial. Sorry, my one player who chose that. I still love you, but you chose Iron Gut. Razor Tooth Goblin. Your family's teeth are formidable weapons. You gain the Jaws unarmed attack that deals 1d6 piercing damage. Your Jaws are in the brawling group and have the finesse and unarmed traits. So, you get a free bite attack. It's not bad. That's usable by anyone. Now, if you're choosing to be a barbarian, since it has the finesse trait, the bonus damage is half of what you'd normally get. So, 1 or 3, depending on each subclass of the barbarian is different. But at the same time, it's an unarmed attack. So that means, and I might be wrong on this, it can scale with you if you have the monk's hand wraps, because neat. I don't know if you heard that. My neighbor, someone was knocking. Ooh, wasn't at the door though. I'm home alone. But no, if you have the monk's hand wraps, I'm pretty positive this can increase the damage die by 1 or bonus whatever with each one, because it impacts unarmed attacks. It doesn't say anything about having to be fist or kicks or anything. It just says unarmed attacks. And since this is an unarmed attack, it can scale up with that. I might be wrong. Please leave a comment down below if I'm wrong. I'd like to be corrected, but I think that's what it means. It means a bonus to unarmed attacks. And that's just useful, since you can scale it with that. And this does actually have a feat tree, not in this book though, I have to say. I'm going to say it's green. It's going to be a green one for the fact that it is usable by anyone. Like, if you're a wizard who only is trained in 5 weapons and one of those weapons is unarmed, and you don't want to be carrying around a lot of stuff because you're also very weak, a bite's a good option. And then it's also a good option if you want to be a fighter, because, like, hey, who knows? Maybe you got disarmed, even though disarmed in this isn't that good. Bite. Go for a bite. Be a monk and bite. I think it's a green. I think it's a green because I think it can be usable by anyone. You can scale it as long as you have the right equipment, and that's always good. It's never not a bad choice, if you ask me. Maybe just me. I don't know. Snoo Goblin. This is pretty much the cold version of the Charhide. You are acclimated. I can never pronounce acclimated to living in frigid lands and have skin ranging from sky blue to navy in color. I love that flavor text of just changing the color from being green to that. I love it. As well as blue fur. I also like that a lot. You gain cold resistance equal to half your level. Minimum 1, obviously. You treat environmental cold effects as if they were one step less extreme. So, it's pretty much the cold version of the Charhide Gremlin, and also includes the environmental bonus, which that part is very circumstantial. If it only gave you a bonus to that and not the cold resistance, it'd be in the red, because not all campaigns take place in the cold. Or, I mean, hell, most campaigns probably won't even end up in the freezing cold. I mean, my campaign might end up there because I'm not forcing them, but one of their side missions, they need to free one of their siblings from a prison that's up north in the cold. I will be following the rules for that. Get ready to freeze your nuts off, guys. Oh. But no, you gain that, which is in the red territory, but then you have the good bonus of getting cold resistance, which, frankly, it's not as good as fire resistance. There are not as many cold spells as fire spells, but there are plenty of good cold spells out there that may affect your characters. I think because of the bonuses kind of being in that different direction, it becomes a yellow for that fact. I think if it had maybe something extra in there, like, as much as I love the flavor text of that your skin is pale blue or navy blue with blue fur, I love that idea, but I'm not rating this off of flavor as much as I want to give it that little. I would push into green for that flavor because I love that little idea that you get this because it's cold. You cold there, buddy?
No, I'm suffocating.
He's turning blue from suffocation. Oh no. I think because it gives you two very different things, it's ending up in the yellow for me. It's gonna be like a yellowish greenish, like, how about like a half green, half yellow one? Because the cold resistance is always useful and scales with you. But that temperature one, that's so super circumstantial, and that's what makes it kind of like a 50-50 useful. You're not getting a full use of this, you're getting a half use. And it's even if you are fighting people with cold. Which, I mean, it might happen. It could happen. I don't see why it wouldn't happen. Okay, final heritage from the book. Unbreakable Goblin. You're able to bounce back from injuries easily due to an exceptionally thick skull, cartilaginous bones, or some other mixed blessing. You gain 10 hit points from your ancestry instead of 6. I guess I should have mentioned that earlier. And when you fall, reduce the falling damage you take as though you had fallen half the distance. Okay, getting 4 extra hit points isn't the biggest, greatest thing ever. It will help you, early on. Like, if you're a wizard or something like that, you could use those extra hit points. Those 4 extra hit points might be make or break for you, kind of thing. But just increase your constitution. I mean, it's not going to give you those 4 extra hit points. Unless you're full focus on just constitution, you're not getting those extra hit points. But, I mean, why not just mix the two? Get 8 extra. Just get all the hit points. Why not? But, and I don't, this is where it's kind of unfair. I can't bring up the fact that this also has a really good feat tree, but it's not in this book. I don't think there's not a single one based on the Unbreakable Goblin in this book. They're all in the Character Guide and Advanced Player's Guide, so I can't bring that up. Even though I did bring that up with Razor Tooth, but whatever. I think this one's going to end up kind of in the yellow. It's going to be bordering on yellow and red. As I like the Unbreakable Goblin, personally, because of its feat trees, but we can't consider those when they're not in the core rulebook. If I'm allowed to be able to include those from the other books, it might be a yellow-green, you know? Because those 4 extra hit points really aren't anything spectacular, and it's only at first level you get these extra hit points. And then taking only half damage from fall, I mean, unless you're climbing and stuff, I don't really see it happening too often. Featherfall is a first level spell, and hopefully your spellcaster might have that one on them. If not, hey, at least you're taking half damage. That's why I'm gonna say it's like a red-yellow. It's a high red, just because those hit points are useful. But the circumstance bonuses, I mean, they're not the best. If anything, I'm gonna give it a yellow. I'm gonna say yellow for sure. Yellow. I might be biased, but it's yellow. So now we're gonna get into the ancestry feats. The Goblin has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 first level options, 1 5th level option, 2 9th level options, and 2 13th level options. No 17th level ones. That's because no one gets those, damn it. So, let's get on with it. Starting off with burn it. Burn it to the ground. Fire fascinates you. That little piece of flavor I love. Your spells and alchemical items that deal fire damage gain a status bonus to damage equal to half the spell's level, or 1/4 the item's level, minimum 1. You also gain a +1 status bonus to any persistent fire damage you deal. This one... Okay, first off, it is very much based off of what class you choose. You need to be a spellcaster who casts fire spells. But here's the thing: you can just take the what's it called? You can multi-class and get almost all the, like, if you have primal or arcane, you have access to a cantrip fire spell. It's going to be useful immediately, almost. I like this one. It scales up. Your alchemical items also get this. So even if you're just carrying around alchemist fire and you're not an alchemist, it's still going to help you. It's still going to be useful. This one, it's going to be kind of bordering on the green. It's going to be like a yellow-green for me. Because yes, this is going to help the spellcasters out the most. This is going to be a spellcaster one or an alchemist one. Alchemist bomber, actually. It's not even full alchemist, technically. Though, I mean, I don't see an alchemist not taking alchemist fire, even if you're choosing Shurujin, I believe that's how you pronounce it, or the mutagenist. They're good options. Let's not lie to ourselves. That's why, but I'm saying it's mostly for, like I said though, early on in the video, how I describe it is if it's for a specific class, it's gonna be kind of in the yellow section. Though, it's not just restricted to those, because you can multi-class into them and get a fire spell if you multi-class into a wizard or a sorcerer or an alchemist. You'll get something to be able to use it. And you're not restricted from using alchemist fire as a non-alchemist. You can throw that and get that bonus still. So, I mean, it might be best for said classes, spellcasters and alchemists, but it can be used by everyone. But I'm still saying it's bordering on it. It's a very yellow-green. It's a very yellow-green. That green apple, you're gonna be a little more tart than sour. Or maybe you're gonna be more sour than tart. I don't know. I kinda want an apple now. Okay, City Scavenger. You know that the greatest treasures often look like refuse, and you scoff at those who throw away secretly good scraps. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus checks to subsist, and you can use society or survival when you subsist in a settlement. Okay. When you subsist in a city, you also gather valuable junk that silly Longshanks threw away. I love that they use the Longshanks. You can earn income using society or survival in the same time as you subsist, without spending any additional days of downtime. You also gain a +1 circumstance bonus to this check. Special. If you have the Iron Gut Goblin heritage, increase this bonus to +2. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. I've said this before already. Have you had your players, or have you as a player ever had to subsist? And I mean truly, truly, truly have to subsist. For my characters, one time. I've had them have to use the subsist action once. It was when they're on a not nature hike. Yeah, they went on a nature hike. That sounds fun and relaxing. I should have my characters do that. Or maybe have them do it in real life. But no. I think that the subsist... I don't know. I think subsist is kind of silly when you're not doing it in nature. Because that's when my characters did. I had them do it in nature. They hunted a deer. They're good to go kind of thing. They passed their nature check on that one and subsisted off of nature and helped all of each other get some, which was good. I did make an Oregon Trail joke and said they only were able to take back 50 pounds of the 100-something pound deer. Or whatever. I don't know what the average weight of a deer is. Don't look it up. It will surprise you. But there's something else in this one that made me go, that's kind of cool. You can earn income at the same time as you subsist. That's pretty cool. But here's my biggie. Have you actually had your players, or as a player, have you actually earned income from not adventuring? I want my players to do that, but they need to choose that on their own. I'm not going to force them to be like, okay, I don't have any bards, so I can't get... But being the bard... I mean, hell, first time I played D&D, one of the first things I did in a city was try to make money by performing. Nat 20, by the way, got me only a few gold and silver pieces, but better than nothing. And that was fun. I actually really enjoyed trying to earn income that way. And I like that Pathfinder wants you to earn income by using your background's lore skill, or the skill you gain from your background. But you have to have players who are actually reading into that and realizing, oh, this is an activity that you can actually do. Versus, I've noticed that a lot of times, when, at least for my players, when I tell them, hey, next session, there's going to be some downtime between doing this. Think of some things you want to do and have it ready. Most of the time, they just want to go shopping or go to a specific temple. No one wants to really earn income. And I get it. I mean, I won't lie. I do, when they go on adventures and stuff, they'll end up finding money or finding stuff to help them get this stuff, which is nice. But at the same time, I'd like them to try to use it, but I can't force them. I can't force my players to use the earn income action. And I have to be honest, do you as a GM have your players do it, or you as a player try to do it yourself? I'm curious. Leave it in the comments. I want to know. I want to know how well it works. I think if your DM actually wants you to subsist and earn income this way, and actually doesn't give you a bunch of gold from inheriting money from deadbeat parents, from a butler who gave you a blank check, like I did one time. I love my PCs. They're awesome. But if you actually have that kind of thing going on, then this is a good one for you. But I don't necessarily think it's going to work for everyone, because not everyone's going to want to subsist or earn income this way, or doing some things. But it is going to be useful. You know what? If this feat gave you trained in society or survival, like it gave you the option to be trained in either one of those, hell, even if it gave you the trained in society, I would probably give this one a green, because it gave you a free skill and a way to use that skill, and that's really cool. But it doesn't give you that. It just gives you the options, which is okay. And it's only in settlements too. It's not even saying it's only in a city or settlement. You can't even use this in nature now. You don't get that bonus in a nature environment. I have to give it a red. I think it's too circumstantial. It's not gonna be used by everyone, and I can understand it. I think if they expanded on this one by giving them, if they gave them society as a free skill, I would probably move it up. I would probably move it up. That's just me, though. Goblin Lore. You've picked up skills and tales from your goblin community. You gain the train proficiency rank in nature and stealth. You also become trained in Goblin Lore. Okay, starting off. I think the Ancestry lore feats are always going to end up in green. There's no way you can change my mind on that. Getting 3 skills is trained. Even if one's going to be kind of useless, you're still getting two skills that are very useful. I mean, and this one, what was it again? Nature and stealth. Both are amazing skills. Stealth is always useful. Nature is used for a lot of stuff. Commanding animal, identifying spells, nature. I believe tracking and subsisting off of nature is a nature skill. This is a good skill. Those are 2 great skills. Then, I mean, I think Goblin Lore is green. You can never convince me otherwise that an Ancestry lore skill is not going to be useful. Period. Everyone can use more skills, except if you're a rogue, you're going to have all of them. Or even a bard, and you choose the Enigma bonus and you get all that other stuff, but whatever. You can't convince me it's not a useful one. You can never convince me having more skills is not useful. Goblin Scuttle. This one is actually a reaction to an action. So a trigger. An ally ends a move action adjacent to you. You take advantage of your ally's movement to adjust your position. You step. Stepping means you move 5 feet. This doesn't incur an attack of opportunity. It's one of the most basic things you can do is just step. Your character moves 5 feet, and that's it. You can't step into difficult terrain because that requires more than 5 feet, but stepping is always useful. Now, Goblin Scuttle, I like this one. I think this is an interesting feat, but I think it's restrictive to mostly martial, rogues, anyone who's going into the battle and going up close. This could be a useful feat. Because if someone, let's say I'm the goblin, I was first in initiative, I was a little jumpy little bastard, I'm the first one to get up to this ghoul, and I'm just attacking, I got my attacks in, and I used my turn up. But someone decides, hey, I'm the slow dwarf, I can only end my turn right next to you, Chris, I hope that's okay. And I'm like, you know what? Awesome. I'm going to take 5-foot step over this way and get 5 feet closer to flanking this guy. And when it becomes my turn, I can take another step action. We're now flanking this motivator, even though I just said it was a ghoul. I don't think you can can they become flat-footed? Can ghouls become flat-footed? I think they can. Let's just say it's an evil rogue. This evil bandit, and you're now 5 feet closer to flanking him with your partner, or hell, maybe even someone with maybe a quicker speed was able to be like, hey, now I can flank them instead and get that bonus. And now you can get that bonus, or you can switch it with the dwarf or whatever. I think it's a useful one, but for martial classes, or for people who are going up close and personal and fighting. Not all spellcasters are going to do that. Your bard is not going to run right in and be like, on God. He's probably going to be like, let me sing you a song. I'm the singer. Do me no harm. You're the bringer of evil. It's yellow. Just because it's a little it's circumstantial in the sense that it is usable by martial classes or people wanting to get up close and get flanking. It is useful for flanking. Why not? Alright. Goblin Song. Oh, I love Goblin Song so much. You sing annoying goblin songs, distracting your foes with silly and repetitive lyrics. Attempt a performance check against the will DC of a single enemy within 30 feet. This has the usual traits and restrictions of a performance check. You can affect up to 2 targets within range if you have expert proficiency in performance, and 4 if you have master proficiency, and 8 if you have legendary proficiency. Holy crap. And if they fail, they take a -1 bonus status penalty to perception and will saves. And it just determines how long it is, depending on how bad they fail. Or I guess technically your success to their failure. I think Goblin Song's an interesting one. It's a good one. If you want to play a Goblin Bard, this is a good action to have. It makes you not have to focus on just spells or attacking. You can actually use your bonus to performance to give some people a negative to their will save and to their perception checks. Which, I mean, if you do this right before battle, it could be really useful because it would give them a negative to their initiative, technically, if they're using perception for their initiative, which most classes will be doing. Now, getting the negative to will save isn't going to be necessarily the most useful thing, but as a bard, or maybe even if you're choosing another spellcaster, will saves are used for certain spells. I know as a bard, will saves are used for a lot of them. This is made for a bard, and it's beautiful. Now, saying that, though, that makes it seem like it's going to be red because it's only usable by one class. No. Anyone can take performance. And anyone can raise that performance up whenever they feel like it. Now, are you going to... I mean, I hate to say it, unless your character thinks it's going to... Unless you think as a character you want to do that for all your boost and shit, I don't think you're going to do that, really. I don't think you're going to do it unless you're a bard. But you can do it. And, I mean, it's not going to be useful for everybody. It really isn't. It's going to be more useful for, not performers, but I mean, spellcasters who need to use will saves. But at the same time, a fighter or a barbarian, if they have a good enough charisma and also have like a bonus to intimidation, you could help out people. You can help out others. You can, by lowering their will save, you can be helping them. Like, they might fail an intimidation check from someone else right afterwards. I kind of like... This thing can be used by a lot of people. But it's best for a bard. Yellow. I'm going with yellow where, yes, it can be used by everyone. And may help the whole team. But very specific, though. The rest of your team has to have intimidation. Someone has to have intimidation. Other people have to have spells based around will saves and not fortitude or reflex saves. Which, I mean, hey, you just might. I don't know. But not everyone will. But those who will, I think it could be helpful if you know the specs of everyone else and your own kind of limitations. Yellow. Yellow bordering on a green. I think it's like kind of in that middle. It's leaning more towards a yellow apple than a green apple. Because I do think that not everyone's going to want to waste boosting their skills like that. I mean, a rogue can easily do that without any problems. A rogue gets so many skill boosts. It's hilariously amazing, and I love that I have 2 rogues in my current game, and they don't know what to do with all their skills. One of them is trained in everything but 2 of them, and I'm like, yes. Goblin Weapon Familiarity. Others might look upon them with disdain, but you know that the weapons of your people are as effective as they are sharp. You are trained with the dog slicer and horse chopper. In addition, you gain access to all uncommon goblin weapons for the purpose of determining your proficiency. Martial goblins are simple weapons, and advanced goblin weapons are martial weapons. I'm going to be honest about the weapon familiarity feats. For everyone, not even just goblins. I'm talking about everyone's weapon familiarities. If I have someone, let's say I have a goblin who wants to use dog slicers, but wants one of the other feats, and not to use up one of their feats for goblin weapon familiarity. They're trained in it. I don't care. Because why not? Why am I going to restrict my players from using a weapon that they think is cool because it is clearly meant for goblins? Why am I going to restrict my Goblin Barbarian from using a Horse Chopper or Dog Slicer, the weapon of his people? Why am I going to force him to take a feat to be able to get this? If in his background says his mother showed him, or he was trained at a young age to use this because fuck horses, because goblins hate horses, goddammit. I'm not going to force him to take this feat. I'm going to tell them, you are trained in this. Now, if you want to use the other ones, I might say you might have to use the other thing, but you know what? I'm going to be cool with you and say, I mean, hell, if they're a martial class and they're saying they were trained by their people to use their weapons, they're getting their people's weapons. I don't fracking care. Let them have the weapons. I'm not going to force you to take a feat just to do this. It's silly. It's stupid. It's pointless. Let them have their weapons. Technically, this can be used by everyone. It's going to get a green for the sense that it is usable for everyone. But personally, I think this feat is stupid. It gets poopy brown. It gets a rotten poopy brown apple. That's what it gets. That's just my opinion, and I'm going to keep it because, damn it, if I have a wizard who's like, why can't my wizard use a dog slicer? I'm like, why not? Why can't, you know, maybe you're trained by the one goblin who knew how to use that and teach you spells. Why not? Is it in their character backstory? I'm not going to restrict it. I'm also not going to really force them to, but at the same time, it's nice flavor text for their backstory of like what they were trained to use. I'm not going to force you to take a feat. GD. Green because it can be useful. Poopy brown because I don't like it. Junk Tinker. We're still in first level feats, by the way. We're down to our last 3. You can make useful tools out of even twisted or rusted scraps. When using the crafting skill to craft, you can make level 0 items, including weapons but not armor, out of junk. This reduces the price to 1/4 the usual amount, but always results in a shoddy item. Shoddy items normally give a penalty, but you don't take this penalty when using shoddy items you made. You can also incorporate junk to save money while you craft any item. This grants you a discount on the item as if you had spent 1 additional day working to reduce the cost. But the item is obviously made of junk. At the GM's discretion, this might affect this item's resale value depending on the buyer's taste. I love the taste. I love the flavor text. It's just like, will you let your players sell this? And I'm just like, you know what? If you find the right buyer, someone might buy. Or maybe use a charisma check and be like,
can't you see this is the greatest item I've ever created? Yours are one of a kind. You will love it. It's grand. It is great. It's sublime.
You know, do something like that. Charisma check your way out of that one and try to sell it. I like this feat. I think it's really cool. I think the idea of using getting another way to use craft that isn't making alchemy items always makes me happy. As much as I think the craft skill is really silly in Pathfinder 2nd edition because it becomes this over-encompassing thing of, oh, you know craft? You can make potions and you can make armor? That's pretty cool. Even though in, you know, the original Pathfinder you had to put craft and what you know how to make, which was fair. I'm not gonna make fun of it, but it's fair. It's fair. But you know what? This gives another use for junk. You can use this to make certain things. I'm trying to think, what's a level 0 item that you could use? Let's see.
Many months later.
I mean, you can make any item that isn't a level 3 item, pretty much. Like, I mean, shoot, you can make a repair kit, technically. I mean, oh no. I don't want to think about this anymore. I like this idea. It does kind of require you to actually have the craft skill with not giving it to you. Yet another thing that I think is weird. It's another one that doesn't give you the skill, even though it should give you the skill, because it's requiring you to use said skill to make something. Weird. I think it's weird. It's like, you know, it probably would be a green if it gave you the craft skill and gave you something to use it with. I think I'm going to end up kind of in the yellow section, because not everybody is going to choose craft as a skill. Now, I think the idea of making all these junk items, or even going out of your way to try to make money in this way, is really funny and really just a fun little idea. I just don't see the use of, you know, if it doesn't give you the craft bonus or give you the actual skill to use it, you have to actually go out of your way to get it so you can actually make something, you know? And not everyone's going to choose craft. Like, I hate to say it, craft is not the first skill I say, I'm learning that one. Maybe if I'm an alchemist, alchemists get it for free. But maybe if I was like a fighter who wants to use his shield, I would learn craft to, you know, repair my shield. But beyond that, I don't really see the use of craft. Am I wrong? Someone want to correct me on that one? I would appreciate a correction. I'm not like 100% confident on that one. I'm probably wrong. Leave it down in the comments, please. Okay. But yeah, yellow. Rough Rider. You are especially good at riding traditional goblin mounts. So, starting off, you gain the right feat, even if you don't meet the prerequisites. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to nature checks to use command an animal on a goblin dog or wolf mount. You can always select a wolf as your animal companion, even if you would usually select an animal companion with the mount special ability, such as for a companion steed ally. You get 3 really cool things. You get a feat that is always useful. I'm just going to say it. Ride is a surprisingly very useful feat. If you don't have an animal companion, Ride is very useful. It literally allows you not to have to do a nature check to command your animal, during battle and stuff. And we learned that very quickly when I had my PCs actually, what's the word? I actually had them ride horses and a goblin dog for my goblin to point A to point B, and they decided, oh, we're in a fight, we're going to do some mounted combat. The only person who was good with it was my rogue, one of my rogues, because they had the ride skill, or not the ride skill, the ride feat, which I was just like, this is awesome. I've learned to really appreciate that. I also really enjoy the +1 circumstance bonus to checks to command an animal if it's a goblin dog or a wolf mount. That's really cool, getting that bonus right there. And then, last but not least, you can choose a wolf as your animal companion, even if, and they get this, I mean, it didn't say it in there that you can make them a mount, but literally this is the nicest way of putting it. You literally can teach your wolf to be your mount now, even if it doesn't say it. I don't care. I'm going to be the DM who says it's okay to have a wolf mount if you have this feat. Now, this is class kind of restrictive when you think about it, because if you want an animal companion, there's 3 classes you can choose: Druid, Champion, Ranger, at least in the core rulebook. But there is also the Beast Champion or something from the Advanced Player's Guide, which will that would allow any class, as long as you're trained in nature, to get an animal companion. That animal companion can now be a wolf that you can now use as a mount. And who doesn't want to be a barbarian goblin with a wolf mount? Oh, that's cool. That's so cool. Tell me I'm wrong and that's not cool. You're wrong. I'm a goblin on a wolf. Yeah! Tell me I'm wrong. Green. You might think it's just for those 3 classes, but because of that there is one special class, I keep wanting to say prestige classes, archetype. There's an archetype that you can choose to get this. And hell, maybe your DM actually has the free archetype rule. You got it then. You're good to go. You're freaking aces, man. I think it's green. I think it's green just because there's a lot of cool things to it. It gives you 3 things. It gives you a feat for fug's sake. It's good. Final first level feat. Very sneaky. I don't know why I said like Elmer Fudd when it should have said, pretty sneaky, sis. You got me diagonal. You fucking... very sneaky. Taller folk rarely pay attention to the shadows at their feet, and you take full advantage of this. You can move 5 feet farther when you take the sneak action, up to your speed. In addition, as long as you continue to use sneak actions and succeed at your stealth check, you don't become observed if you don't have cover or greater cover and aren't concealed at the end of the sneak action. As long as you have cover or greater cover or are concealed at the end of your turn. So, the nice way of putting that is if you're, let's say you're sneaking outside of combat and you want to get between covers and there's kind of like someone that you're trying to sneak around. This is, well, no, I guess technically it would work. It's more for combat technically, I would assume. Because it says at the end of your turn, so yeah, this is technically during combat kind of thing. This could be useful for, this is pretty much useful for a rogue or a ranger or someone who just wants to, I mean, anyone can take sneak. Anyone can take sneak. Let's not lie here. Or stealth. Why am I saying sneak? Anyone can take stealth as a class skill. Now, it's kind of in that same vein of Junk Tinkerer and City Scavenger of you don't get trained in this skill, but if you're trained in it, this is something you can use it for. And I think it's a good, especially if you're going for the rogue, it's going to help you with your sneak attack bonus. But beyond that, I don't see it being useful for too many other characters. I mean, unless you really want to stay hidden for a long time for like certain characters, which, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you just want to. You wanted to. That's why I'm not going to give it a red just because it's only for rogues. No, any class can use this one as long as they're trained in sneak. Sorry, stealth. Keep saying sneak. Sneak attack. I'm giving it a yellow. I think it's kind of in the same vein as Junk Tinkerer, where you need to have the skill and you're not given that skill trained. And I personally don't see it useful for everyone. I think it's useful for a rogue because sneak attack. Bonus to damage. Yes, please. Beyond that, I just don't see it being very useful. Okay, the 1/5 level Goblin feat. Goblin Weapon Frenzy. Prerequisites, you need to have Goblin Weapon Familiarity. You know how to wield your people's vicious weapons. Whenever you score a critical hit using a Goblin weapon, you apply the weapon's critical specialization effect. So that's a nice way of saying you get the critical specialization effect at 5th level, which most classes get that, but normally, and this is normally saying, because it's not related to your class feats, technically, you can't, wait. It's so confusing to me with certain trained things, because it's like, if it says you're trained, I don't know. Because it says martial goblin weapons are simple weapons and advanced goblin weapons are martial weapons. If you're trained and are able to get critical specialization with your regular whatever, your simple or martial weapons, you don't need to take this feat, right? If you took the first one? Maybe I'm wrong. But not every class gets the critical specialization. I think almost all the spellcasters don't. I think this Bard might be the only one that gets it. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not 100%. But I'm pretty sure Bard's the only one that gets critical specialization, while all the other spellcasters don't. I'm probably wrong. I don't know, though. Personally, if your character gets critical specialization from their class, you don't need to waste your 5th level feat on this. Don't. Unless you're playing a class that doesn't, and you want to use your 1 feat for this, like you're a wizard goblin, and you're using the dog slicer, and you keep getting crits for some freaking reason, be my guest. Be my guest. But I'm not going to force you to have the Goblin Weapon Familiarity, because that's stupid. Just my thing. Yellow. Just because I feel like the wording on because it made it a simple or martial weapon, and if they already get critical specialization with simple or martial weapons, Do they need to take this feat again? Yellow. Yellow because it's only for specific... It's for spellcasters. As far as I mean, that's what I'm reading it as. I'm not 100% on that, though. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I don't want to be wrong because that's stupid. 9th level, Cave Climber. After years of crawling and climbing through caverns, you can climb easily anywhere you go. You gain a climb speed of 10 feet. Gaining a climb speed is awesome. Gaining any type of like alternate way of movement, like a swim speed, a climb speed, a burrowing speed, I'm always going to say that's useful for everyone. There is not a day where I don't think that's going to be useful. Is it slow? Is it 10 feet? Yes. Hear me out though. We're not allowed to use ones from the other books, but there's one from the other book that actually pairs really well with this, but you have to take another heritage. You have to take one of the heritages from that book, but one of those heritages is fucking awesome. So yeah, it worked out okay. But, I don't know. I think gaining climb speed is useful for everyone. Maybe it's not, maybe it is. I mean, maybe you just want to be that climbing guy. You're just a little kid who likes to climb on trees. You know? A little goblin guy. Yeah, look at that little guy. Look at him go. Whoa, he's in the stratosphere now. Green. It's useful for everyone. When is a speed, gaining a type of speed or type of movement not useful for everyone? When is a swim speed and you don't have any water in the world? Shut up. Skittering Scuttle. I like that one. Say skittering scuttle. Skittering scuttle. Skittering scuttle. The prerequisite for this guy is you need the Goblin Scuttle. So, you can scuttle farther and faster when maneuvering alongside allies. When you use Goblin Scuttle, you can stride up to half your speed instead of stepping. Now, a Goblin speed, starting off, is 25 feet. So if you do the half speed, it's only going to be 10 feet. It's going to be 2 squares versus the 1 square. Okay. But if you're someone like me who likes the Fleet General Feat... Fleet General Feat. You may have taken that one already, which will make it 15 feet, 3 squares to move. I think getting Skittering Scuttle is a good way to expand on Goblin Scuttle, and can also help make sure that your character gets into... I mean, hell, it will get your character into the position to now flank an opponent, or even just move ahead some. Like, let's not lie to ourselves. Getting a free movement as your reaction is always good. It might just be 2 or 3 spaces, but it's better than nothing, and you don't need to waste those spaces for movement on your next turn, maybe. Who knows, maybe it'll get you closer to something that you needed to get closer to. It's going to be useful, I think. I think Skittering Scuttle's good. I think it goes along with... It definitely gets the same like reaction as Goblin Scuttle. It's still going to be the same color as Goblin Scuttle, which is a yellow. But it's more useful than Goblin Scuttle, but you need to have Goblin Scuttle. So it's going to kind of be bordering on that, because getting more movement is always useful. But you do technically have to have someone who moves along next to you. So if you are further away, why would someone move further away? I don't know. Yellow. It's yellow. Alright, last 2. 13th level. Goblin Weapon Expertise. Your Goblin affinity blends with your class training, granting you great skill with Goblin weapons. Whenever you gain a class feature that grants you expert or greater proficiency in a given weapon or weapons, you also gain the proficiency in the Dog Slicer, Horse Chopper, and all Goblin weapons in which you are trained. Useless to me. It's going to be a green because I guess if you're forced to play by the rules, it's a green. But it's poopy brown. I don't want to talk about this anymore. If you think I'm stupid or being like kind of crazy for the idea that not all characters need to be trained in this, like specifically because of this, like if you're a goblin and you want to know how to use a horse chopper as a martial character, why not? Why not? I'm getting off of it. Very last feat. We're talking about the last one now. Very, very sneaky. Obviously, you need very sneaky. You can move up to your speed when you use the sneak action, and you no longer need to have cover or greater cover to be concealed to hide or sneak. That just made very sneaky freaking uber useful and makes the rogue using the sneak action as a rogue even better, or just sneak action in general, but I feel like as a rogue it's going to be the most useful. I'm still sticking with yellow on this one, but it does make very sneaky more useful, which is awesome. That's it for this one. I'm done. I got nothing else to say. That's a lie. Hey, if you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe. I don't really expect you to, click that little bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a. But hey, if you don't know when my videos come out, it's a good thing to do. And hey, I've got a Patreon. It's mostly focused on the podcast, but if you want to see videos early, or listen to podcasts early, or even look at show notes, or anything else I put up, it's $1 for all the content. $1 a month gets you everything. You could be spending that $1 on something worse. Like, I don't know, a Knuckles action figure that costs like $5. So you spend $1 a month just to get the one for 5 months. It's not fair, man. It's not fair. Why's it gotta be $5? Why can't it be $1 again? Why? And hey, leave a comment. What's your favorite feat of the Goblin? What's your favorite heritage? Maybe it's one from the other books. Do you want me to talk about the ones from the other books? Leave a comment down below. I'll get to it eventually, but I kind of want to talk about other heritages, ancestries, and just kind of move on from there. I might do, maybe I'll do Leshy. Maybe I'll do Lizard Folk. Maybe I'll do Hobgoblin. Maybe I'll do Tiefling. That's a heritage. I like Tieflings. Well, see you guys next time, and keep role-playing out there, because it's just fun.